So it's the classic dilemma for every single successful real estate agent out there. You're absolutely crushing it. Business is great. But you've hit a wall. You're busy all the time. But are you actually growing? So what's the smartest way to smash through that ceiling?
You know you've got to make a change to get to that next level, right? But each one of these paths, hiring, partnering, staying solo, comes with its own big set of risks and rewards. The right answer isn't one size fits all. It really, truly depends on where you are in your business right now.
And I get it. I really do. The phone never stops ringing, the paperwork is piling up, and you feel like you're just constantly putting out fires instead of actually planning your future. That feeling of being completely maxed out, it's a sign you're doing something right, but it's also a massive warning sign that your current way of doing things just can't take you any further.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to talk about hitting that growth wall. Then, we'll walk through 3 different stages, starting with systems over staff, then making that all-important first hire, and finally, deciding between a partner or a full-on team. We'll also look at the super profitable solo path, and we'll wrap it all up with the key questions you need to ask to figure out your next move. First up, hitting the growth wall. Look, this isn't a failure, not at all. It's actually a direct result of your own success. You've gotten so good at what you do that you've basically become the bottleneck in your own business. Being this busy feels super productive, but a lot of the time it's the biggest thing holding you back from real, scalable growth. So how do we break through it? Well, it all starts with stage 1, building a really strong foundation. And this is where a ton of agents make their first huge mistake. They hire way too soon. Before you even think about adding to your payroll, you have to think about your process. The magic number here is your gross commission income, or GCI. If you're making under $300,000 in GCI, you're doing a fantastic job getting clients, but it is almost always too early to bring someone on. Think about it. An assistant can easily cost you $60,000 or more a year, and that can put a serious strain on your business.
So here's the bottom line. You don't need a team yet. What you need is discipline. The real answer is to streamline everything. Use a transaction coordinator on a per-deal basis. Create templates for your emails for your marketing. Automate your follow-ups. Honestly, if you can't handle a dozen deals a year on your own, adding another person isn't going to fix a broken process. It's just going to add more chaos.
So when is the right time to hire? Well, that brings us to stage 2, making that strategic leap. This is that moment when hiring stops being a scary liability and starts becoming a seriously powerful tool for growth.
This right here, this is the first real hiring window. If you're consistently pulling in between $300,000 and $600,000 in GCI, and you find yourself actually turning down business because you are just completely swamped, it's time. It's time to start thinking about getting some help.
But what does this help actually do? Look, you hire an assistant to buy back your time, not to puff up your ego. Their job is to remove friction from your life. They handle the scheduling, they manage the CRM, they track the paperwork, all the little things that keep you from spending at least 70% of your time in front of clients and prospects. You know, I know an agent who jumped from $450,000 to over $700,000 in GCI in just 1 year after hiring a great assistant. Why? Because she was finally free to focus on the high-value stuff that actually makes money.
And her story is the perfect example of the #1 financial rule of hiring. It has to be an investment, not just another expense. If that assistant costs you $70,000 a year, your goal isn't to just break even. No way. Your goal is to generate at least $140,000 in new business because of all the time and capacity they've given back to you. To put it simply, growth should fund itself. The extra production you get from hiring someone has to more than cover what they cost. That's how you build a sustainable business, not just a bigger one.
Okay, let's jump into stage 3, where the stakes get even higher. You're a top producer now. One assistant isn't cutting it anymore, and you're wondering, is a partner or a team the next logical move?
Now, this slide is so important because you have to ask yourself a critical question. Are you capacity constrained or skill constrained? I have seen so many agents make the mistake of thinking a partner is going to solve their prospecting problems. It won't. If you have more leads than you can possibly handle, that's a capacity problem, and a junior agent could be the perfect answer. But if you're stuck because you hate cold calling or you struggle with listings, that's a skill problem. And bringing on a partner is not going to fix that in the long run.
Partnerships that are based on emotion, they almost always fail. I saw 2 top agents team up just because they were friends. 18 months later, they were barely speaking because one of them felt like they were doing all the work. Compare that to a partnership that was strategic from day one. One partner crushed listings, the other was amazing with buyers. Their roles were crystal clear, their pay was clear, and guess what? They doubled their production in 2 years.
So here's the deal. Successful partnerships are built on a foundation of absolute clarity. Roles have to be defined, egos have to be managed, and the money stuff, it has to be painfully crystal clear. If you can't tell me exactly why you need a partner, do not get one.
But what if the whole idea of managing people and teams just makes you break out in a cold sweat? Let's talk about the powerful solo path. Staying solo is not a failure to grow. It is a very deliberate and often very, very profitable business strategy.
I personally know agents who consistently earn between $500,000 and $700,000 a year with just a little bit of staff and fantastic systems. They've perfected their niche, they've automated their marketing, and they squeeze every last drop of value out of their brokerage. They have low overhead, low stress, and a personal brand that is rock solid. They've built the business that serves their life, not the other way around.
And this is a point that you just can't say enough. More manpower does not automatically mean more wealth. Profitability is the name of the game, right? And for a lot of people, the freedom of being solo, combined with great systems and just a little bit of help, is the most profitable way to go.
All right, we've covered a lot. We've talked about the stages of growth, the types of hires you can make, and the solo option. Now let's bring it all home and focus on your next strategic move. Before you do anything, I want you to ask yourself these 4 questions. First, what is my actual problem here? Is it capacity or is it skill? Second, does the math really support this hire? Will it actually be a profitable investment? Third, does my long-term strategy absolutely demand a partner? And finally, be brutally honest with yourself. Is my current model actually working just fine?
In the end, it all comes down to this. Growth in this business is not about looking bigger, it's about becoming stronger. The right hire at the right time can unlock incredible potential, but the wrong one just locks you into more pressure. So be strategic, be clear-headed, and always remember, clarity scales, but ego does not.